Arachnophobia warning. If you are afraid of spiders, this may not be the video for you. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and furthermore, welcome back to yet another exciting Dungeons & Dragons miniature review. Tonight we're taking a look at this trio of spider miniatures from Dungeons & Dragons, specifically Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures, and you can see this dragon in the background done in different shades of blue. It says spiders on the top. You got the D&D symbol there. Dungeons & Dragons, ages 14 plus. Dungeons & Dragons, Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures. And then you got the three different spiders. They all appear to be the same species of spider. This one's kind of standing on some rocks or some dirt. This one's just by itself. And then this one, probably the most disturbing one, has a spider wrapped around a cocooned corpse. It's disturbing. Like, really, I don't like it. And in the background, it gets even more disturbing when you get to see how that looks. Anyway, you can see each of the spiders, how they could look painted. I don't know if I'm going to paint mine like this. I think I'm just going to go crazy with my own unique colors. But you can see, primed and paint ready out of the box, WizKids spiders, D&D, Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures. Expand your Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures High Definition Collection. For a complete list, visit wizkids.com/painted, and then you got all of your legal stuff down there. And the same image of that dragon in the background, done in different shades of blues and whites. But with that being said, this pretty much wraps up the packaging. So I'm going to take a few days to start slinging some paints, get these creepy spiders all painted up. Don't go away, there's more review to be had. Alright, going into each of these spiders one at a time, starting off with the one that has this webbed up corpse, or it looks like it has multiple corpses. Two corpses mixed in with some webs, bones, and a severed arm, which appears to still be clutching some kind of sword. But you can see right there at the top of it, it's like a bluish gray with some light brown hairs and fur textures on it. It's got some black eyes, and I positioned it, when I glued it onto the base, in a kind of striking pose. Like maybe this spider is protecting its kill, before going to enjoy its meal. Now, spiders, for your information, don't actually eat meat. What they do is they inject their prey with a sort of liquid that, liquefies the blood and everything inside. So basically, after all the innards and good stuff inside is liquefied, they drink it up like a fleshy meat slurry. Really disturbing, but there's the first spider here, which I painted to look like how it was shown on the packaging. We'll put him off to the side here. And then we will bring in this one. This is a pretty basic spider. Brown with some lighter brown highlights on the back of the fur, the back, and then each of the knuckles on each of the joints on the legs. And then I mixed in a little bit of blood. I don't know if it's being picked up on camera, but I used some fresh blood paint effects on the base to make it look like, there's some blood splatter on the ground here. But yeah, that is the kind of brown spider that I painted. I wanted to paint something that looked more natural. Not that these spiders don't look natural. I think the most unnatural looking one is the first one I showed off, which has the bluish gray color, where this one is just more like a natural brown spider, like maybe a brown recluse or something akin to that, right? But more hairier with bony legs. And then, of course, it does have black eyes as well. It does not like focusing on these. Yeah, pretty spooky. And lastly, of course, I had to paint one of the spiders like a Black Widow, and you can see the Black Widow hourglass there, but all things considered, it's just a solid black spider. Now, I know, before anyone complains about it in the comments below, I know the hourglass is actually on the bottom of the abdomen, but once this thing was glued to the base, I knew that it wasn't going to really be seen, so I made some compromises and just put it on top, and I think it still looks nice, but it is on this base that I've put a bunch of sand and dirt onto to really bring things together, because otherwise they would have just been put on a plain black base and, you know, the figure's already been painted black. It would have just looked really odd and not very good. So I added a little bit to it. But yeah, that is the 3 different spiders. Let me see if I can fit all of them in my hand here. Grab this guy too. Fit all 3 of them here. Here is all 3. It does not want to focus on these. Here is all 3 of the spiders. And I think I did a pretty decent job on this trio. I mean, they look pretty creepy. Yeah, they're pretty creepy. I don't really like spiders. And if these were like real spiders and they were this big, I'd be pretty disturbed by that. But luckily these are just miniatures and they're not real spiders, although they could be. Ah! I'm just kidding. They're fake. They're very obviously fake. But I guess we'll go into some comparisons with some other animal figures I have in my miniature collection. All right, here are the spiders next to a pre-painted magma centipede. Spiders next to the pre-painted spider dragon. Spiders next to a Deep Cuts Magma Scorpion, which I myself have painted. Spiders next to a multitude of different animal miniatures. We got the Deep Cuts Boar, the Deep Cuts Giant Frog, the Dungeons and Dragons Giant Lizard, and the Dungeons and Dragons Crocodile. I really like these spider miniatures. I think they were a lot of fun to paint, and I think they're pretty creepy when it comes to spider minis. And to just compare it to like a human-sized miniature, here is a Dragonborn Paladin, and you can see these are massive spiders. Definitely big enough to take down somebody that isn't expecting to be ambushed by a bunch of these 8-legged monsters, right? So they're pretty big. The only gripe I have with these specific miniatures is how they attach to the bases and their legs, alright? So these things are incredibly difficult to attach to the bases because there's really nowhere for them to attach to. The only way I got these guys to work is by either gluing their legs directly to the base or gluing the bottom of their abdomens to the base. Either or, they're pretty difficult. And on top of that, their legs look pretty brittle. I feel like if you move the legs too much, you might risk breaking them, or even these things falling off of your display shelf when you're not using them in a Dungeons and Dragons game. Even something as simple as falling off the shelf might break these guys. But they're pretty cool, and I definitely think that they could even be used as some sort of form of a druid, because I know the druids can shapeshift, and I think one of the things they can change into is spiders. So this could be a nice druid form for your character. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Do take care, have a great night, and I'll see you in the next video.